Hey guys, I'm Chris Bach and a very warm welcome to Friday Fretworks, and this week I'm going to be giving you a quick update on my 1962 Fender Stratocaster. Now, for those of you who are regular watchers of Friday Fretworks, you may well be aware of the fact that just before Christmas, a few weeks ago, I uploaded a video nervily announcing to the world that I was the new worried owner of a 1962 Fender Stratocaster. Now, not that I've ever gone much big in on fate or any of that kind of stuff, to be honest, but given the rather surreal circumstances and scenario surrounding buying this guitar, coupled with, relatively speaking, the very small amount of money that I paid for it relative to its current worth, did start to wonder whether this whole thing was meant to be. And as such, I don't think I've ever been so unnerved at the prospect of being the custodian or the carer of this guitar going forward. Now, if you've seen that original video, you will very much be aware of the fact that this guitar could quite accurately be described as a doer-upper. Plenty of modifications have been done to this guitar, presumably in the mid-70s at some point when it was very common practice to do this to Strat, but also the fact that there was a lot of work, if I was going to be getting it playable, left to do on this guitar. And in that respect, finding someone that was going to be sympathetic to its age and status as a truly iconic instrument from an iconic period in Fender's history, but still aware of the fact that I want to make this playable, I want to make it reliable enough to take out on tour, was a hell of a task. But to be honest, only one guy's name ever really came to mind, and that is of course Mr. Huw Price. Now, if you recognise Huw's name, maybe it will be from any number of journalistic duties he's performed for numerous high-profile guitar magazines over the years. Of course, he's half of Tone Twins on YouTube, if you've not seen those guys. It's a fantastic luthier in his own right. And of course, he's from South Wales, so extra brownie points for that. Like I said, someone with an unparalleled knowledge when it comes to vintage guitars, and someone that I knew I could trust to, as I said, fulfill all of those criteria. He was very kind to invite me down to his house straight after I'd handed the guitar over to him to run me through numerous 60 Stratocasters he'd sourced for me in one day. Spent a bit of time running through them, choosing fret wire, choosing specifications that I liked from each of them to use as a benchmark going forward to know at what end we were going to restore this guitar. And the one guitar in particular that I really bonded with, bizarrely, looks very similar to mine. It's in Fiesta Red and it is an early 1963 Strat of Huw's with a vintage style fret wire on it that's relatively tall but relatively thin. Now, I was aware of the fact that I guess it would be all too easy to stick a modern style fret wire on this guitar, but given the age and state of the fingerboard, I was a little bit wary of this, and again, at Huw's behest, was advised that maybe a smaller style fret wire was going to be a good way to go forward. Now, clearly, there is a lot of work to do on this guitar, and the most pressing of which was undoubtedly the fingerboard. Now, it had been refretted, again, presumably at some point in the 1970s, from what we've gleaned. It looks like it was with gold Hofner frets, bizarrely, and then the original frets from the 14th fret to the 21st. But couple that then with the fairly serious dings and gouges, I guess, in the fingerboard, especially in the cowboy chord positions, there was a fair amount of work to do on this fingerboard. And the one thing that I was most worried about above anything else on this guitar is whether we were going to be able to get it to a point where the fingerboard was salvageable and was playable. Suffice to say, the work Huw has done has absolutely blown me away, not only in terms of his fretwork in refretting this guitar, the shavings of Brazilian rosewood at which he has topped up the fingerboard in essence. We weren't really able to shave it back to any great degree because, of course, it's a veneer board, so there's not that much rosewood there to play with in the first place. But restoring the fingerboard to a point where, quite frankly, it looks absolutely sublime and doesn't look anywhere near like it's had as many miles put on it as this guitar undoubtedly has over the years, is really testament to Huw's ability. Now, clearly, there's a fair amount of work left to do on this guitar, amongst which is potentially the body. Now, we've kind of remained undecided on this, and this is where I want your guys' input as to whether you would spray this, whether you would have it another colour. It is a refin, I should say, probably again from some point in the mid-1970s. My knee-jerk inclination at this point is to leave it as is, to be honest. It's a finish that's been on the guitar for the last 40 or 50 years or so it would seem a shame to separate it at this point. But I can appreciate that it's a non-original finish colour. It's a kind of more orangey version of Fiesta Red, I guess. So if you guys would like to see it sprayed another colour, please do let me know in the comment section down below. Now, of course, there are currently no electronics in the guitar. As I said, with the amount of modifications that had gone on, the underside of the pickguard, to be honest, was a little bit of a mess. And the whole restoration process of the electronics is taking a fair amount of work. The only non-original pickup in the guitar is the neck pickup, which is from a 70s Strat. Couple that then with the various modifications and switches that had been added to add in each pickup in turn, if you so wanted. There is a fair amount of work yet to do on the electronics, but suffice to say, we are getting there. So there you have it. As I said, there's going to be a much more in-depth video to follow on this guitar, but I just wanted to give you a chance to watch what are literally my first notes on this guitar, albeit unplugged. It sounds incredibly loud and immensely resonant. I remember having the excited text off Huw when I was out in France a few weeks ago after the Fender vlog I did, saying he couldn't believe his ears when he strung this guitar up for the first time. We managed to salvage the original nut, which he's built the back up with rosewood. Just resonant and ringing and sustaining, everything a good Strat should be. So needless to say, I'm incredibly excited to actually get the electronics in this, take it away and see how it sounds. So as I said, stick around for the final video, which will be coming in a few weeks' time. Hopefully by then we'll have some final decisions having been made on this guitar, and it will be in its final restored state. As ever, thank you very much for sticking with me through this process. As I said, this is not something I ever wanted to rush, make decisions in haste and then regret them for the rest of my days. This guitar has had a fairly hard life, so I guess being sympathetic and being gentle with it going forward is probably the order of the day. So as ever, this is Friday Fretworks. Please give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe, ring the bell, and I shall see you next week for another episode. Cheers guys, take care, see you soon.